Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about nature photography and something that I think is really important if you're going to be doing nature and also landscape photography. And that is knowing about nature, being a naturalist. It's been said that it's best to take pictures about something rather than of something. And knowing what's in your photograph is going to be really important to taking pictures about things, not just of things. In fact, if you don't know what's in a photograph as far as a species and whether it's native or not, your picture may end up being about something that you don't even realize that that's what it's about. So with that in mind, I'm going to take a look at a photograph that I took last fall in one of our local forest reserves and kind of go into what it's of and also what it's about. And so I was thinking about titling this video, "What's Wrong with This Picture?" Because it's a picture of something, but it's also a picture about something else. So with that in mind, let's take a look. So what's wrong with this picture? Well, on the surface, you might say nothing. It's a photograph, a pretty picture of a bird, a cedar waxwing, in a bush with red berries. But cedar waxwings are obviously native to North America, so it's a native bird. But the bush, unfortunately, is a Moor honeysuckle, and it's not native to North America. It's native to China, Siberia, Manchuria, Korea, so areas in Asia. But the reason the cedar waxwing is in the bush is because of the berries, because cedar waxwings eat berries. Throughout most of the year, they do supplement with insects when they're available. And what happens to those berries is, of course, they get digested, but the seeds inside do not. So wherever that waxwing goes, that seed's going to come out at some point and end up turning into a young honeysuckle bush like this one. So what's the big deal, you might say? I mean, it's offering the bird food, so the bird needs the food to survive. And so what if a bush from Asia grows here in the middle of North America? Well, the problem is that this bush is really invasive. So what happens is you get these thick, impenetrable masses of honeysuckle in the understories of our local forests and actually savannas. And this has some real dire consequences because it changes the habitat entirely. This is what it's supposed to look like around here. This is actually an oak savanna. So most of the forests in northeast Illinois were open forests or savannas, and people think of East Africa when they think of savannas, but savannas exist throughout the world, and this is what Illinois looked like a few hundred years ago. And of course what happens is this goes away and you end up with this, which chokes out all of those native plants that are growing on the forest, or I should say the savanna floor, and also doesn't benefit wildlife much, as we'll see. If you look at our native savannas, again, looking at the plants growing on the forest floor, in this case is a savanna in spring, and you've got this nice wildflower, which is wild geranium growing. But once the honeysuckle moves in, that's all going to get shaded out. And so the wildlife that depends on an open forest and the flowers that do, the wildflowers, get pushed out. And would much rather have these wild geraniums growing here than than a mass of honeysuckle. And unfortunately, dense honeysuckle thickets detrimentally affect far more birds than they benefit. A lot of the birds in the Northeast Illinois area evolved to be open forest species. So here we have the native eastern bluebird, and if a thicket builds up, the bluebirds simply will not use that area for feeding or breeding. Now, the Cook County Forest Preserve District is doing a really great job in doing habitat restoration. So here you see an area in a preserve called Cap Sowers Holdings, where they have gone in and cleared the honeysuckle and also European buckthorn. But then here on the other side of this trail, they haven't gotten to this yet, and you can see this honeysuckle thicket. Here is near the same area, and you can see we have nice fall colors, but you can see that just really dense thicket along the path. So when you're taking photographs, and really anywhere in the world, if you're taking nature or landscape photos, you really need to be able to look at that and see what's in there and if it's supposed to be there or not. I mean, it'd be great if we could all go out and just take a nice nature or landscape photo and not have to worry about invasives. Here again is an oak savanna. The plant growing in the understory is a native goldenrod, and that brings up a point. North America exports invasive species because goldenrod is invasive in areas of Asia. Another really well-known one is our native eastern gray squirrel, which actually can be pretty invasive around here. It can invade your attic. Well, somebody in the 1800s thought it would be great to bring those to England, and now this squirrel, which is pretty aggressive, has pushed out the native red squirrel. It outcompetes it, and also carries a disease that it's immune to, but the red squirrels are not. However, recently, and I just read a story about this, the pine marten, which is a predator native to England, has made a resurgence, and it seems that the red squirrels are better at evading the pine marten than the gray squirrels are. So the problem of gray squirrels may be mitigated somewhat by the pine marten. And very interestingly, our gray squirrel population here in Oak Park, Illinois, has taken a bit of a dive, and I'm pretty sure that is due to a resurgence in the population of our native Cooper's hawk, which is related to the northern goshawk, which people in both North America and Eurasia may be familiar with. So, as you can see, it's one of the reasons why you sort of have to be a naturalist when you're doing nature photography, is to recognize something that is not native to your area, that is invasive, that disrupts the ecosystem. If you're shooting stock photography, this is a great kind of photo. In fact, that the first photo we looked at of the cedar waxwing is I've got that up as stock because it's very good representation of this problem. If you don't have a biology background, it doesn't really matter. You can learn. You can take courses, things like adult education courses, support your local conservation organizations, and maybe even national conservation organizations, and look and see if organizations near you have maybe naturalist-led hikes. Our Forest Preserve District here in Cook County actually does that. They have naturalists, and those naturalists take people out and explain the local ecosystem. Funny thing is, I happened to run into one of those tours this morning on a hike. You can always learn this stuff, but if you're just going out and just taking pretty pictures and you don't kind of get what's in those pictures, it just could end up being problematic for you. So I think this is really, really an important thing. And I think that most established nature photographers understand this. So if you're starting out, it's something to really keep in mind. So I hope this has been helpful to you. If so, please like it. In fact, take a second now just to hit that little thumbs up button. And any questions, comments, insights, please leave them down in the comments section. I'm happy to address those. And thank you for watching. I'm Todd Banner, and I'll see you next time.